How many refrigerators do I have left? I was born at the tail end of the baby boomer generation. As a result, I frequently communicate life's big ideas in typical boomer fashion, through movie quotes. Regardless of how profound or nuanced, each and every one of life's tender themes can be illustrated with a snippet of on-screen dialogue uttered by an actor whose name and fame is now lost to most people born after 1970. It's amazing how many in my cohort of baby boomers understand my pain, happiness, or grief when I trot out a tidbit of script, dust it off, and deliver it like Meryl Streep aiming at yet another Oscar nomination. If, for example, you're around my age, you know exactly what I mean when I give you the side eye and announce, in a voice both calm and terrified, "We're going to need a bigger boat." You instantly know I'm grappling with a major challenge, something profoundly threatening that presents a clear and present danger. There's no way out. I have no choice. I must defeat this shadowy devil before it devours me. Furthermore, it's a battle I'm already fighting, and this is the horrifying moment that I realize life just got real. By delivering this quote, I want my listeners to know that I am in over my head. This thing is way bigger than I thought, more powerful than the weapons I have at hand to defeat it, and help isn't coming. There is no bigger boat to be had. Consequently, I'm going to be required to rely on my wits like Richard Dreyfuss in Jaws. I'm going to need to improvise in order to defeat the man-eating shark that is my current problem. And you, gentle reader, know all of this based on a string of 6 words from the movie script, which are lodged in our collective consciousness. My father feared death. In order to illustrate this point, I've chosen a scene from the Academy Award-winning 1987 film Moonstruck, starring Cher as Loretta, Nicolas Cage as Ronnie, Olympia Dukakis as Rose, Vincent Gardenia as Cosmo, and Danny Aiello as Johnny. It's noteworthy that I'm quoting from memory, having laughed and cried through this flick countless times. It's also important to add that I usually go for the pithiest, most succinctly elegant movie line to convey a concept. 6 words or less is my motto. But sometimes a short scene tells the tale better, and my dad's terror of the Grim Reaper is a case in point. To set this scene, Rose has recently discovered that her husband, Cosmo, is catting around with a younger woman, a new behavior for him. Cosmo and Rose love one another deeply, so she's both hurt and baffled by his uncharacteristic betrayal. Although they're in their early 60s, until recently they'd shared a satisfying sex life. Rose hasn't yet confronted Cosmo and has refused to do so until she discovers the reason for his infidelity. She knows that if she can find the key to this mysterious breakdown in their relationship, she might have the power to fix it. She spends the first 90 minutes of the film asking other characters that age-old question: why do men chase women? Finally, Johnny, Loretta's bumbling and clueless fiancé, gives her the answer she's been looking for. Rose. Why would a man need more than one woman? Johnny. I don't know. Maybe it's because he fears death? The truth of his answer hits Rose like a ton of bricks. She snaps back in her seat and, eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light, she exclaims, "Yes, that's it! Thank you. Thank you for answering my question." Admittedly, this is a pretty obscure reference, but it's woven into the fabric of the shorthand communication I share with my husband. He's not much of a movie lover, the traitor, but he and I have sat through this one enough to have teased out its many truisms. When an apropos situation occurs, all he has to do is say, "And then there's copper, which is the only pipe I use. It costs money. It costs money because it saves money." And we laugh for the 100th time. That shit never gets old. Until it does. In fact, the world, according to Moonstruck, has just about drained entirely from the current zeitgeist, having been replaced in the minds of those far younger and firmer than myself with cultural references I wouldn't recognize if they snuck up and bit me on the ass. But back to my dad. He was comically similar to Cosmo, the late Vincent Gardina's role in Moonstruck. Italian, charmingly vain, and a philandering husband. My dad was also a smotheringly loving father who feared the world for us kids when we were too young and oblivious to fear it for ourselves. He was always expansively generous with both his time and his money, but underlying his frequent and sometimes surprisingly fabulous gifts was an unspoken plea for freedom from worry. A brand new car, a trip to Europe, a house. I mean, seriously, who does that? Although he never actually uttered the words, I could feel his transactional logging with every gift. When he helped me get into my first mortgage, his unspoken plea was, "If I buy you this house, will you please just stay there so I can hover over your life and stop worrying that you and my grandsons will eventually be homeless after I'm dead and can no longer protect you?" Buying the house was less an answer to my potential homelessness problem than it was a solution to his massive worry about it. And now, here I am, entering my own early elderhood and burdening my sons with the same behavior. While I don't have nearly the resources my parents had, I still hover. Parenthetical aside to my kids, if you ever see this, please forgive me. My smothering tendencies are a result of how I was parented and don't reflect my feelings regarding your intelligence, capabilities, or ability to take care of your own damn selves. All right, back to the refrigerators. As my dad found himself delivered into elderhood along with his greatest generation cohorts, he began measuring his remaining time on this earth in refrigerators. Once, when he was about 60, I found him standing in the kitchen, staring forlornly at his brand new side-by-side fridge, its shiny black plastic-faced doors featuring a water and ice dispenser, crushed ice no less. This ebony behemoth had recently replaced the much smaller Harvest copper fridge that had accompanied us to my parents' custom-built dream home some 20 years before. Its successor sat in the kitchen like an oversized Winnebago backed into a one-car garage. Too wide, too tall, and too long to fit comfortably. But where the hell else are you supposed to park the goddamn thing? It crouched in the kitchen, mocking my father with its size and power, as if to suggest that now it was here, it was going to subjugate him and make him cower just a bit on the inside whenever Dad caught an unexpected glimpse of it out the corner of his eye. "Pop, what you doing?" I asked cautiously. By this time, I was about 30 and intuitively understood that my father was on the backside of a brutal midlife crisis. The whole family tread a little more lightly around him during those years. We suspected that any sudden moves on our part, and he might actually disappear in the new van conversion he kept threatening to buy and make a run for the border. It took him a minute to collect his thoughts as we both stood there, regarding his adversary. "This is the last new refrigerator I will ever own," he intoned, with the sadness and solemnity of a man eulogizing his best and oldest friend. He was looking death squarely in the face that day, and the uncomfortable honesty of his emotions was too much for me. Instead of just standing there with him in reverential awe of the killer fridge, determined as it was to outlive him, I fell back into the trifecta of my trusty behavioral coping mechanisms: denial, intellectualization, and appeasement. Oh, for Christ's sakes, Pop, it only has a 5-year warranty, and if you get another 5 years out of it after that, it'll be a miracle. We both know it's a pretty sure bet that you'll live at least until 70. Besides, I whispered cajolingly as I swung open the huge freezer door, look at all the ice cream it can hold. You could store a quart of all 31 Baskin-Robbins flavors and still have room for a few bags of those 5 for $5 cheeseburgers from Sonic that you like to stock up on. That did the trick. My dad had a lot of big emotions, but none of them, with the exception of his love for his children, ran that deep. He grabbed a container of maple cherry walnut while I selected the Jamocha almond fudge, and we retired to the den with a couple of spoons where we rewatched one of his favorite John Wayne movies and ate our ice cream directly from the carton. Pop lived to see 2 more new refrigerators and finally died of a heart attack at the youngish but still respectable age of 80. Now, here I stand in front of my refrigerator, a bulky almond-colored side-by-side with fake wood grain handles, manufactured in the good old US of A, sometime in the early 1980s. It's older than every other refrigerator I have ever owned, having replaced the crappy black one I bought brand new around 2008. That fridge looked very much like my dad's midlife crisis one, which he outlived, just as I outlived mine. This old workhorse, however, inherited from my beloved's parents after they shuffled off this mortal coil, will see me into my grave. The gleefully macabre comfort I take in that tickles me no end. Perhaps I'll print this essay and tape it to the back of my refrigerator, shoved in an envelope addressed to my one and only grandchild. Dearest Carson, the accompanying note might read, please resist the impulse to drag this refrigerator to the dump or recycling or wherever it is old appliances go to die these days. I hope that you'll take it home and let it take care of you as well as it did Grandpa Grant's parents and then us, because sometimes newer isn't better, and substance is what matters most. That's as true with human character as it is with refrigerators. So, be a person of substance. And whenever you pluck a quart of ice cream from the freezer to enjoy while watching an antique John Wayne movie, remember your Mamu, a very flawed woman of substance who loves you more than words can say.